going to be a Master of Islands clash. It's actually a round 2 clash between two players who both sailed through their opening rounds. In fact, thinking about it, Jamjack could well not have played the first round. I think in the very first round, Bulletchen was actually the very highest seed. And the way this tournament works is that some of the higher seeded players above that come in subsequent rounds and stages. So once we got into round 2, it kind of activated another higher bracket of seeds, which Jamjack would likely have been part of. But yeah, Bullet faced off against the lowest seeded player in the first round. Won that 2-0 with a Persian douche, so I heard, being executed in the second game where he was free to pick his civ. Zero respect being shown there. But now he faces a tougher test, and although I am not entirely sure whether Jamjack is much of a water specialist, he's a very experienced and accomplished player, playing on a higher level than Bulletchen overall on most maps. So you'd probably make him the favourite here, but we'll have to see whether Bulletchen's water specialism, islands being his very favourite map, is enough to lift him to the levels of his illustrious opponent. So, here we have game 1. Bulletchen with a horrible start, not able to find his sheep. They're very, very far away from his TC, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. If he uses a re on account of this, if his start ends up being quite messed up and delayed. AOC kind of went the way it counts the maximum tiles that things can be. If things go along the axes of the compass, then they can be further away in total distance than if they go like in diagonal directions, which is why you sometimes get that. But Bullet has got the sheep under his TC and should just about be able to force drop food. Yeah, he's going to be able to force drop enough food to keep his TC running, and he won't burn a reef for those sheep. I think if they'd have come in much later, then he would have been inclined to do that, because he may well have had idle TC, but he's going to be okay now. Let's take a look at the kind of maps and fishing distribution. Bullet has plenty of opportunity to do a great dock on the southern part of his island, the southern edge, and even if he chose to do just shorefish here, actually, a couple of deep fish towards the edge of the map here, but even if he did a kind of ill-advised back dock, as long as he did it more towards the left of his TC and not to the right of his TC, he wouldn't be doing too badly for the fishing. Jamjack will he can kind of choose to do one on the left hand side or sort of towards the middle of his island. There is this island between the two players, which, sometimes it spawns too close to a player's island and can completely ruin the fishing and cause some unfortunate dock placements. But even if Jamjack did one sort of here, and there we go, the read being called anyway for Bullet. Obviously not happy with this start. Yeah, Jamjack is like, sheep. Didn't find them. Fortunately for Bullet, all 4 extras in one place as well. But he also obviously had that slow start at the beginning. And we'll back out. Yeah, I'd say Bullet is comfortably 17 plus on islands, perhaps even a little higher when playing at his peak. Jamjack, I'm not quite sure what sort of rating he's at the moment, but I'd say he's probably at least 19 plus all round, but whether he lives up to that filling on water, we'll have to see. Maybe someone in the chat knows how comfortable he is on water, or uncomfortable as the case may be. Players have relaunched the game, so we'll be into the maps once again very, very soon. Bulletchen 1900 handsome. Okay, Squeak. I'm afraid we can't take those kinds of subjective rating systems into account. Any moment now. Here we go. So Bullets burned his on the game 1 Viking War. Let's see if he manages to get a decent start this time. Sheep in perfect position to be picked up by his scout pretty much the moment he activates there. And I'd say that he's going to have a much better start this time. Both of his golds nicely inland as well. Dock positions for him. He can pretty much dock all the way around his island unless he goes here and have fish. Because I can see spots of deep fish all the way around, but ideally he's going to be doing it either sort of more, like if he does it slightly more aggressively towards his opponent's island. Obviously he doesn't know that at this point, but he could put one up here, or he may well go towards the kind of bottom left of his island, back towards the back of the map, and play more defensively to begin with. For Jamjack, more or less the same thing, as long as he doesn't dock right towards the back of his map, towards the edge of the map, then he can do a decent dock more or less everywhere. And even if he does make the mistake of docking the edge of the map, there are something you don't always see. There's some deep fish here on the shallower water and in the narrow channel. Look at this relic. I really, really hope somebody picks that relic up during this game. That'd be awesome. I don't think I've ever seen one single tile of sandbar spawned in the middle of the water that is occupied by a relic. That's brilliant. Bullet, little late getting sheep back to the TC, but he's going to be okay. Still 60 left on there, luring in first ball with his scout. Just pointing out, of course, game 1 is a Vikings War. And after that we will see hidden civilizations with no repeat picks, so they can't pick Vikings again. Vikings War on islands, the classic setting, rather like Hun's Arabia, for example. Simply due to the fact that Vikings are undoubtedly the number 1 civ on water in Age of Empires 2. So it's the one that you see picked first all the time for islands, and indeed quite often in full random as well, given the amount of water involved in that setting. Jamjack with a little bit of an early loom here. Obviously, if you can, delaying it until like either the end of your Dark Age or perhaps not doing it at all is a better idea. But he's going to lure this boar with his villager from quite a long way away, opting not to do it with his scout. So that's why he's chosen to get loom even. Dock being built, and I'm gonna assume that, let's see what his line of sight is there. Yeah, he's gonna get lucky here. Like that could, I mean, he can see there's this inlet which provides the opportunity for there to be deep water there, which there indeed is over here. But I'd say he's a little bit fortunate there to be getting such a good dock with a deep fish pretty much a tile away, and then another one not terribly far away. Like that could have been a much worse dock than it has turned out to be with where he's chosen to put it. Bulletchen, meanwhile, great location for him. He's going to put it towards the back of the map, so like once again he doesn't know where his opponent's island is, obviously, but given that it certainly can't be towards the corner, it's more of a kind of defensive dock placement, shall we say, away from where the enemy could possibly be in, trying to have protected fish in the corner. Later on, he'll be able to guard his fish pretty well by occupying these channels with his galleys if he chooses to remain on a defensive posture. And he's going to have pretty safe and pretty nice fishing in this corner if he continues to build docks in this area and keeps those fishing ships alive. For now, Bulletchen, a villager ahead, predictably after he chose to get loom. After PL Jamjack chose to get loom so early. Bulletchen is going to do loom before he clicks up. He should, if he force drops, have the food very soon. Looks like he's going to need to quickly burn through those sheep to actually get that 500, but he's almost ready to click up. And off he goes. Go on, Bulletchen. There you go. Bulletchen will click up first. Let's see how Jamjack, hot on his heels, just 4 seconds behind. Now we'll see both players just coming away from the food, quickly reassigning all villagers to wood and gold to transition into the galley rush economy for the feudal age. Obviously, you need nearly all of them on on wood. Normally, initially, you'll send like 3 out to gold, and then add more as you, or a little bit later on once you start to want to be producing at full pelt from all of your docks. Debate going on in the chat about American and British English. No, the game isn't a replay. This is a live tournament game going on right now. Interestingly, Jamjack managed to get an extra villager out during that, despite only going up 4 seconds later. So a little bit of idle for Bulletchen there. Jamjack going up with 26 population compared to Bulletchen's 25, but 4 fishing ships for both, which is pretty standard. Bulletchen already on that second dock. Let's see if he's able to produce from both straight away. Indeed, double bit axe kicking in for both of them, so neither of them forgetting to do that at the start of Feudal Age. I love Jamjack's second dock placement. He's literally put it in the perfect spot for him to continue fishing with absolutely maximum efficiency. I really like that intelligent placement. I mean, in some respects, like it's kind of an obvious one, because unless he chose to do one in here, because he wants to kind of mass his galleys out towards the open water and protect this channel. But nonetheless, placement of it pretty perfect. So let's see if Bullet chooses to go and scout out his enemy, be very aggressive with that initial pair of galleys coming out from his docks. Seems he'll do just that. Keep an eye on the unit spy as we follow his galleys across the sea, just to see if he ends up just missing Jamjack. We can see Jamjack's doing the same thing, sending that initial pair out to try and find his enemy. They're going to take different routes around this central island that has 2 extra gold piles on it, and going to completely miss each other. And fortunately for Jamjack, that extra second pair of galleys popping out in time to defend when Bullet's ones arrive, so those fishing ships aren't going to be vulnerable. Meanwhile, the scouting pair for Jamjack running into 3 from Bulletchen, who seems to have got 3 dot production going just a tiny bit faster. Neither player able to kind of remain outside each other's docks with just 2 galleys, so no threat to the fishing ships for each player at this point. Okay, the English debate was a comparison with German, okay. I get it. Yeah, Bullet is actually fishing on 3 fishing ships on shorefish right now, which is important to note because that can have a big effect on castle times. Jamjack continued to... Okay, two players moving over their galleys, both of them on patrol, which is good. Sometimes in water, if one player is not on patrol in situations like that, especially in the Castle Age when ballistics have kicked in, those sorts of things can be disastrous. But both players on point there. Jamjack has continued to expand his docks into favourable locations to fish out of the deep water, and he's now accessed a great cornucopia of fish here. Loving that word lately. I keep finding myself saying it far too many times. And then, whilst Bulletchen has completely fished out that shorefish there, so he's been on shorefish with 3 of his 4 fishing ships for a long time now. And at the moment we're looking at a difference of 100 food between the 2 players, both with fletching, so that's not providing the difference at the moment. And Jamjack also having produced an extra couple of villagers at least. But importantly for Bulletchen, what a great raid on his docks then. Jamjack's slightly out of position and he's picked up all of the fishing ships of Jamjack. I don't see any that have managed to escape into the open water. Jamjack will try to do the same thing and move in on Bulletchen's docks, but Bullet has a good number of galleys there. Not quite enough to defend from this army, but it's at least giving him advance warning and stopping Jamjack having that free road into the backwater of Bullet's kind of harbour. Checking on this battle down here, seems like this is the one where Bulletchen has the advantage. Military numbers between the players remaining much the same. Actually, I think when I was saying there was a village difference between the 2 players, it was possibly the idle fishing ships causing it as well, because this overlay is weird. It like makes idle fishing ships villages or something like that. But yeah, 21-21 military, 36-37 on villagers, so pretty even there. But Jamjack remains a tiny little bit ahead in food count, starting to lay down some farms. Bulletchen not with as many farms at this point, although heavily on berries. But exploiting the market, and he's got the 800 food he needs to click up now, just missing the gold. But he's first to use that market to get up, so despite being a bit lower on the food, he's managed to click up. Jamjack is away from being able to do that unless he likewise exploits the market at lesser prices. So Bullet's going to be first up to the Castle Age, and on water, technology can be so decisive, because the enemy galleys often only have so far to run. Of course, feudal age galleys move faster so they can escape, but sometimes taking a bad fight at the wrong moment as your enemy's technologies kick in, or if a trap happens, then that can be the technological advantage can prove to be pretty decisive. First time really we've seen both players with their entire navies grouped together, trying to engage in the open water here. Bulletchen picking up one kill, but really all that does is equalise the military numbers for a moment. Nothing happening where no decisive engagements just yet. A couple of boats being lost for Bulletchen there. I was just staring at my phone briefly, so I heard two get sunk. I think they were both bullets. Anyway, starting to fall just the tiniest bit behind, but it's less than one round of production out of the docks, and he's going to have that Castle Age. I'd have liked to have seen him not engage, certainly not engage, but stick a little bit closer to Jamjack so that he could potentially try and move in and take advantage of those technologies when they kick in. But he chose to retreat. He could have kind of microed out of there while staying closer to Jamjack in order to know where he is at this kind of moment, to then try and chase him and pin him down and have a few seconds of firing with war galleys and bodkin versus the feudal age units. Couple of nice easy picks for Bullet then. As the war galley and bodkin kicks in, I think those units would have gone down before Jamjack actually would have seen them, but he's known that Bullet's been up for a little while now, so regardless he would know that those technologies will be kicking in first. Bullet with a university somewhere because he's researching ballistics. Always important to get that upgrade early, because it means, well, it takes away the opponent's ability to micro too much against your fleet using runners, etc. And both players on top of each other's docks at this point, cutting production for each other. Bullet will dispatch some of his galleys home to try and deal with this, and if he is able to if he had more galleys here, I think he might be able to engineer some sort of trap. But it's not really going to work out for him, and I think going to lose all those galleys and potentially some his fishing ships as well, and he will arrive home with kind of half of his galleys to combat that. But that's not going to be enough once those upgrades kick in. Or at least it shouldn't be, but Bulletchen will at least be able to reinforce from here. That said, I think he's seen that the numbers are too great, but even so, he's continuing to wipe out all of the docks of Jamjack. Jamjack actually having to redock on the northwestern part of his island, because Bullet has almost completely destroyed his docks at this point. Jamjack replying in kind, but Bullet is starting to get the numbers together to be able to take on this navy. Important to note, however, though, total military count, Jamjack's still somewhat ahead, having a pretty large number over here. Take a look at the economies of the two players. 2 extra town centres going up for Bulletchen. 1 just there. Okay, here we see 2 extra ones going up for Jamjack as well. This is a nice raid on the wood line. forcing away 10 villagers from a wood line. Although it will be easy for Bulletchen just to relocate. His wood gathering operation there is losing 100 ones to idle time though. As I do like, I mean, we're not likely to see landings at this point, but because both players are still fully committed to the water battle. But I do like that Jamjack has got this kind of radar house thing going on all the way around his island. Bulletchen looking a lot more landable with the way he's placed his houses and stuff. Okay, both players going for an engagement in this narrow channel. Unfortunately for Bullet, half of his galleys are firing at this house, and this could go really, really badly for him. He needs to get out of there pretty soon, or he's going to take a decisive loss in this engagement. Still having so many galleys firing at that house. That said, Jamjack's not really able to get all of his galleys into the engagement either, and Bulletchen's starting to kind of focus fire on his opponent's galleys a bit better now. And he's got a lot of reinforcements coming in the back. I guess at this point team colours might actually help you guys, because it's starting to get more difficult to distinguish. Let's go with Jamjack in the red and Bullet in the blue. Jamjack going down to just over 10 galleys now. He didn't have ballistics, which, you know, both sets of galleys were pretty static in that fight, but still, it does help. I mean, Bulletchen did still try to use a runner in that fight, I think, and maybe that helped turn what looked like it could have gone badly for him at the start, considering a lot of galleys are firing at houses, but he brought reinforcements in much better. Jamjack's got a few galleys sitting out here. Not sure if they've been produced since or were idle during the fight. But for now, Bulletchen taking a pretty big advantage on water. Is important to note though, looking at the village accounts between the two players, Jamjack with a much bigger economy, so as long as he can safely redock, then he'll have the ability to remass, because Bulletchen, although he has a decent advantage in fleet size, it's nowhere near anything that's going to be decisive. Bullet with a horse collar only now, having made quite a lot of farms. We did see Jamjack getting that much earlier in this game. I also, if the action kind of calms down for a moment, I'd like to check the tech tree to see if he got Bowsaw. I noticed Jamjack getting it, but not entirely sure if Bullet got it. Let's take that opportunity. Where is it in the list? No Bowsaw for Bulletchen. That's big. With a 17 villager difference and no Bowsaw on islands. That's a huge difference in the economic power of the players. And I was talking about the difference in the military not being particularly decisive, and Jamjack, perhaps with that superior economy, is able to use all these docks that he's rebuilt to have actually just momentarily there took the lead in fleet size. So although Bullet has reclaimed it now, like Jamjack has more or less overcome the deficit that he was at, and now we're going to see another big engagement between the two players. This time both players with ballistics, but during the fight careening will kick in for Jamjack, which Bullet does not have, and that could help a little bit. Although I think at the start of the fight initially Bullet was perhaps taking a better position. It's going to be really hard to tell until the ranks thin out a little bit. I always hate this, trying to call this and make a decision, because the ships stack up on top of each other so much it's hard to tell, but it's still looking better for Bullet. Jamjack, although he's got slight advantage in military numbers, they're not here. They're massed up around the back and even around the side here. And I wasn't wrong in thinking that fight was going slightly better for Bulletchen. Bowsaw kicking in, and he will be kicking himself for having missed that for so long, but yeah, we can see he's actually struggling for quite a lot for wood at the moment. Its wood count is pretty low. Food's looking good, but gold and wood quite low. Jamjack looking much more balanced at this point. Collecting up a relic on his island. Bulletchen with only the one castle age building for now. That's going to be a nice little trade there. Jamjack doing good harassment on this wood line here. I think Bullet is in danger of having a trap sprung on him here as Jamjack brings a few galleys around the back, although this isn't enough actually to really constitute an effective trap. He's on his way up to the Imperial Age already though. Bullet almost has the resources. I did hear some notification noise then. I didn't spot if that was actually anything being bought and sold at the market or whether it was just Jamjack clicking up, but actually just going to be a 30-second difference in Imperial Age times. But whether that will prove to be decisive at the end is difficult to tell, because Bullet pretty much the click up to the Imperial Age may have really harmed Bullet's production for a moment there. I mean, he took a fight which he's lost here, 30 galley difference between the two players, but also in clicking up to the Imperial Age, I think emptied his bank of gold and may have the lack of production and reinforcement into that fight may have made it even more of a decisive one for Jamjack. A decisive victory in that particular engagement, and it's starting to look like a pretty menacing mass of galleys that he has now. Total population as well is just so much higher, with the villager lead being maintained as well. Bullet now getting careening as well, but that's going to take a long while to kick in, and throughout this fight Jamjack is taking advantage of already having careening, and this is a really nice bit of extra fire, flanking fire from Jamjack as Bullet retreats, and he's pretty much getting trapped outside his docks by a much larger number of galleys right now, and it's looking trouble for him. Jamjack of course should be 30 seconds or potentially even more, but he should beat Bullet by 30 seconds or potentially even more to all of those Imperial Age upgrades. Able to get two-man sword, galleon and braces straight away, whereas Bullet's economy is looking a little bit more fragile to get all those upgrades and keep up production from many docks at the same time. It's round 2, Squeak. So I think this is Jamjack's first match in the tournament. I'm sure Pumakel in the chat can confirm that for you. Because I remember Bullet saying that he was the highest seeded player in round 1, when not everybody had entered the tournament. Bullet will drop a bunch more docks towards the bottom left of his island and just try, probably in vain, to remass the requisite number of galleys to take a fight on water. But Jamjack is looking to be in an absolutely commanding position at this point. 55 advantage in galleys, getting... Actually, Bullet may end up with a more upgraded galleys in the end, because he's doing chemistry, whereas Jamjack hasn't clicked that just yet. But we do see him... We did see him getting now siege ram. I was going to say cap ram, but it's going to be siege ram. He'll be able to use those strategically on the shore to try and tank some fire from Bulletchen's galleys, but he also may consider just landing a bunch of them and starting to go to town on Bulletchen's town. Oh my god, that was so bad. Just start taking down some TTs or something, in combination with perhaps a few military units or support fire from the shore. And we see that transport ship coming out, getting ready to transport the rams. I like what Jamjack is kind of splitting his army at this point, because he knows he's got such a great numerical advantage that he can actually do that, and he's making sure Bulletchen doesn't squirm his way out from the corner of the map to kind of intercept his transports as they go over or anything. You're also going to land with villagers by the looks of it. In fact, this is a veritable armada of transports. Pretty crazy. Like I bet there is nowhere near enough there are nowhere near enough units in those transports to justify having half a dozen transports. There's about 10 villagers and 8 or so rams. You don't need 6 transports for that. Come on. Style points for it though. I'll give you the style points. So those siege rams going to move in, just start taking down TCs. Bullet can't do much about that other than try and hit the rams with his villagers, but those siege rams will be very, very quick to destroy those TCs. The villagers not too quick in taking them down, and Bullet's going to lose much of the architectural infrastructure of his economy. It's not really been able to close the gap in terms of galley numbers either, so Jamjack able to take good fights here even without having his full fleet grouped together, and Bullet's losing a lot, continuing to lose a lot. Chemistry did also kick in for Jamjack. Castle went up on his island, going to lose 2 more TCs, and Bulletchen finally throws in the towel. He's had enough, and that's 1-0 to Jamjack. Fire Seed taking out game 1. Pretty good game. It looked like Bullet had his chances there, but Jamjack took a nice fight in that kind of channel between the 2 islands and did a better job of continuing production and massing galleys through that kind of mid to late section of the game. Jamjack's opponent in the Deathmatch World Cup Interdimension, top 3 seed, top 3 Deathmatch player, has shown up because he was hoping to play against Jamjack afterwards for them to get their Deathmatch games done subsequently, but he's going to be waiting a while. He was thinking it was best of 3. He was like, wasn't it best of 3, but didn't realise the first game was a re. It's gone dark outside whilst that game was played. Okay, sorry for missing just the first 30 or so seconds of the game. We are in a game 1, 2. Just rearranging my curtains, sorry. We are in a game 2, free pick, Hidden Civ. Interesting to see what the players chose to go for. Obviously, in a 4v4 Islands team game, we see kind of stuff like Japanese, Huns, Saracens, Mongols, and those are kind of generally considered to be great second-tier choices after the obvious Vikings pick. But here we see Jamjak going for Persians, and that makes sense. You're able to have a nice Dark Age with the extra resources, and then later on you've got the dock work rates and the TC work rates both allowing you to produce an army faster and to reach the next stage faster, produce villages faster. Pretty great bonuses to have. Obviously, they're not kind of bonuses that would make Persians first tier civ on water, but still pretty nice. And I think that as the tournament progresses to stages where we see best of 5s, best of 7s, and I think even best of 9 in the grand final, I think we'll see a bit more of the Persians. And we will see and have seen already plenty of Saracen picks as well. But Jamjak being the player that went for the Persians in the red. And I think we'll see plenty of Saracen picks as well. Obviously, the galley firing speed is an amazing bonus. And Bulletchen in the blue opted for those. NC Sniper 1 says, I see your stream offline. I assume he's right-clicked my profile on the in the lobby, and that is actually linked to my personal channel rather than through the official. So that's probably what it is, because I haven't had any messages from the chat saying it's offline. It seems to be online on my phone, so panic signals haven't been triggered. Right, let's have a look at the map. Don't need to speculate about where they'll do their docks. Jamjak already placed his, and this time he hasn't been as well. He hasn't had such good fortune as in the first game when his dock potentially could have been bad but ended up being good. This time the closest deep fish is a long way away, and he's unfortunately dropped it right across from a small island that's on his doorstep. Once again though, you have to point out that he can't know this until he places the dock. He sees deep water and it just ends up not being particularly lucky. A little bit difficulty. Oh, let me. Sorry, I need to message Sniper because he's nudging me to tell me my stream's offline, which it's not. So just need to make sure that doesn't keep continuing to happen. Just quickly let him know that just because if he right-clicks my profile in the stream that it goes through to is offline, that doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. Sorry for the interruptions. Bulletchen did a back dock on this occasion. Didn't see any deep water, but looking at the coastline, the shape of it, I'm presuming he kind of, what he can see is that there's a big area of water towards the back of his map, looking at the shape of his island, and therefore he knows that because there's not usually one of these kinds of islands towards the stuck in a corner or something, that there would be a big area of deep fish here. So good map intelligence for him, and he's going to take advantage of that back dock with much better fishing than Jamjak's going to have, who's had to split up his fishing ships amongst multiple shorefish. Angry typing. No, I've just got a very, very... He won't leave me alone. He still tried to go to my personal channel. Oh god. We'll be able to focus on this game soon. Right, uptimes. A little bit more difference between the two players on this occasion. Jamjak 14 seconds later, but with 2 extra population, that being 2 villagers. So in both games, seeing a little bit smoother Dark Ages for Jamjak in terms of getting villager production and minimising idle time, because last game he clicked up not too much after Bulletchen with an extra villager. This game, nowhere near 2 villagers seconds worth of delay. And both players did get looms, so that wasn't anything to do with the difference either. Going to do extra docks towards the bottom right part of his island, which will enable him to fish much better. So that dock placement will be helpful to him. Bullet going to continue obviously to dock on the back, so he'll be producing towards the rear of his island and may choose to play a more defensive game, blocking up the channels, taking advantage of the back fishing ships, the back fishing area, if he so chooses. Jamjack's going to immediately go and scout out his opponent, whereas looking at the minimap doesn't appear that Bulletchen actually went exploring with his initial galleys beyond these two that are just now departing from the safe harbour. If he sends everything round to the left here, and the kind of round of production from his docks doesn't allow him to pop a galley out at the right time, then Jamjack's kind of exploratory, I was going to say galleys, but he's taken one back now. 2 galleys happening upon all these fishing ships, might have been able to pick out 1 or 2 before the next round of galleys popped out from Bulletchen's docks, but with just 1 galley going there, I think Bullet's going to be fine. Not going to lose any fishing ships, and he's actually doing just as I suspected, choosing to add fishing ships with this back corner fishing area that he's got. Engaging that 1 exploratory galley from Jamjack on the back. 2v1 here on the front as well, so some good positioning from it, like for his galleys, and splitting of his kind of numbers upon meeting Jamjack's exploratory galleys at the moment. Yeah, it depends on the tournament settings, Kingspian. Like some tournaments will say you can't pick the same civ twice during a series. Some won't. Settings for this tournament are Vikings War first game and then free pick thereafter for all the remaining games, but you can't repeat a pick, including you're not being able to pick Vikings again. So you basically just continue to work your way through in what you consider to be the next best water civs. Such a vicious sounding answer there, John Kelly. Right, Jamjack going to move around the left-hand side of Bullet's island with half a dozen galleys here. Going to find it easy to pick off a galley or 2 from Bullet and also get access to that fishing as well. It's also being pretty annoying here with using these little inlets on Bulletchen's island to harass a little bit. Although for now he's only hitting a market foundation there. Fletching has already been done for Bulletchen, and Jamjack having an unfortunately straying towards too many of Bullet's galleys there, and with Fletching helping out as well, where it was just shy of kicking in for Jamjack as well in that moment. Villager difference between the 2 players staying pretty close, but Bulletchen does importantly have 2 extra fishing ships working. Jamjack's moved on to shorefish at this point, whereas Bulletchen is still taking advantage of that fantastic harbour of deep fish behind his island and adding an extra fishing ship to get onto 7 at this point, and his castle age time should be, in theory, much better than Jamjack, although the food count's looking pretty identical at the moment. We saw in the previous game though that even though Jamjack's economy was looking a little bit better, Bullet beat him to the punch with the market manipulation to get a nicer uptime in the end. Yep, as mentioned in the chat, AOCZone.net is a great place to go to find out about the game, the community, the tournaments, but not focusing on that and focusing on the game. We've just seen Bulletchen get a nice little trade there on some of like a smaller group of Jamjack's galleys that had been split off from presumably wherever the rest of his main fleet is, getting couple of nice picks for Bullet, and once again he was the first to manipulate the market to click up to the Castle Age. Obviously he was benefiting from that better fishing. He's actually up to 8 now. I love how there's one like guard galley accompanying the fishing ships. Jamjack's still a little way away actually. 600 food. Doesn't seem to be as so eager to sell everything to get up. Like Bulletchen will quite happily sell off his stone. I can't remember in the last game if Jamjack actually did that. Oh, Bulletchen, you're not on patrol, but he's noticed and he's going to be able to take this fight still with some micro, because I think he's got more numbers. Oh no, or has he? Too many galleys piled up for Jamjack on one spot. It's hard to tell. Both players trading picks there. Jamjack's taking slight villager lead now, but that's because Bulletchen's aging up and the military numbers looking basically the same at this point. Overall though, Bulletchen has traded slightly better thus far in the KD, but only slightly. Jamjack doing what we observed in the last game with the houses as well. Just, you've got to build them somewhere, so you may as well build them somewhere to get line of sight to your shoreline. But we see a landing here as well. I've taken ages to spot this, but we've spotted it just in time because the first military building is first military unit has come out. And Jamjack actually on his way to the Castle Age as he lands as well. Bulletchen has dropped 2 TCs here, so that's a big investment in TCs and not in any kind of military buildings to defend against this. But obviously, okay, now we see a monastery coming out. Jamjack went with stable, doing scouts for now. We'll have to see if he chooses to start producing knights from there in the Castle Age, at which point the monastery will be a good defense against that strategy. But Bullet can see both the archer range and the stable, so he has a reasonable idea of at least what Jamjack has on his island to start off with. Let's just have a look at how the situation is developing on the water, because there's not going to be immediate death happening with this landing here. Should be some free picks for Jamjack there. Meanwhile, Bullet is on top of Jamjack's docks and should be able to more or less remove him from that area of the water and shut down the naval production there if he just camps in that spot. Jamjack's even laming a few deer here. These 2 TCs ended up being dropped in nice spots for Bulletchen though. With a stone wall here, he's able to control access to both of the main gold piles that are on his island. Although Jamjack was actually quite close to completely destroying that market with his galleys. If Bulletchen had been on point, that archer would have been picked off there, but didn't jump back into the TC. Jamjack could get all the fish right now, if he's looking. Yep, he's going to start picking all of those off. Bulletchen running, is he running with some of them? He's down to 4 already, but I don't see 4, so where are the rest? Might have, don't see. Anyway, we see Siege Workshop in defense coming out for him. Jamjack has added a Siege Workshop and a Monastery, so he's going for the one of everything approach right now. But hasn't really produced too much more since that initial couple of archers. Bulletchen, as I expected, is cleaning up Jamjack's presence on the water on his own island and chasing away Jamjack from his docks now, although he did lose every single fishing no, he still has a fishing ship, but the dashboard's indicating naught and it's counting as an idle villager somewhere. Second mangonel and a camel here. That mangonel's coming out for Bulletchen, taking Jamjack's one by surprise, and now Jamjack has awakened and started to move his own mangonel. Let's see who wins the dodgeball battle. That's a great shot, picking off 2 archers. Well, 1 archer and a scout actually, taking the other one down to very low HP. Bulletchen survives the volley from Jamjack, whose own mangonel went down to 7 HP. Docks still being cleaned up. Bulletchen doing better with the dodgeball thus far. And the monk helping to keep Jamjack from charging down the mangonels, although those camels obviously won't want to stray anywhere near those TCs because they'll be shot down more or less immediately. Jamjack still maintains an okay number of galleys on the water, but I don't... Okay, he's got one dock at the moment. Given that he's more or less lost the water at this point, probably won't be thinking about getting that war galley upgrade. Support for Bulletchen in the chat on the basis that he actually hosts 1v1 islands. Yeah, it's nice when some people have different maps other than like Arabia and Black Forest and Land Nomad as their favourite maps, because it promotes other people playing it in the community as well. Absolutely agree with you. So Jamjack even going for the dropping a TC approach on Bulletchen's island to kind of solidify his hold here. He also started to take some of Bulletchen's stone, but it was only taken just enough to add that TC in the end. Back on his home island, he's got 1, 2, 3 TCs, so with four Persian TCs on the map, he's going to have the ability to produce villages at an incredible rate if he's got the food eco to keep it running. Bulletchen did get up to 3 TCs, but predictably 4 Persian 3 TCs versus 3 Saracen ones started to fall 10 villages behind. Mangonel numbers, looks like the trades have been pretty even thus far. Jamjack's still proving a nuisance on the top corner of the map behind Bullet's island, kind of preventing Bullet from re-adding any fishing economy in this area, but Bullet should clean that up now if he actually uses those galleys. They're behaving a little bit oddly just right now. Bullet went with a stable, is producing some knights, getting his scale barding armor, and is going to prepare to make a push, although with Jamjack having 2 monks and 2 camels, those knights aren't the most optimal thing to be necessarily engaging this. But Bullet's own monks should be able to do some reconversions. That said, they're looking to actually go down right now, and this could... that's a bad turnout for Bulletchen. They're losing knights, losing monks, and now going to lose mangonels as well. So better trade on this landing for Jamjack right there. Bullet using just a few spare galleys that he has pretty nicely here to kind of minimise the area that Jamjack has to work with his villagers. But Jamjack will go for the conversions. Did manage to get one, and okay, I was going to say the monk might have survived, but it didn't in the end. Bullet pushing right at here, but his attempt to establish a new farming colony interrupted by that single stray archer that survived a mangonel shot with 7 HP. For a second I thought Jamjack had managed to land here then when I saw those red dots on the shoreline, but it's just him being annoying from that little niche in the coastline as he has been throughout. Jamjack, even with an attempt to remass on water, getting the war galley upgrade now and bulking arrow kicking in, but Bullet spotted it. He maintains a significant advantage in total galley numbers, although they're not really all grouped up in this spot. At the moment, he's kept... Okay, here's some other fishing ships actually. He's kept them in different places for the most part, trying to get line of sight to defend his own island and harass Bulletchen a little bit. Sorry, harass Jamjack a little bit. But now we see quite a number of fire ships being added in by Jamjack as well, and that's going to make it difficult for Bulletchen to kind of take this fight. It has completely turned around the numbers here. And suddenly the military difference between the two players is not looking that big, and Jamjack may well make it back onto the water significantly here. Bulletchen had a lot more ships on the map at that point, but they were spread out all over the place. And this gives Jamjack that breathing room to remass his navy if he so chooses. He's actually going to click up to the Imperial Age as well, whereas Bulletchen is actually pretty close in terms of resources, but those 4 Persian town centres that I was talking about have created a sizable villager advantage for Jamjack, and he's going to be attacking with a much more powerful economy in the Imperial Age than Bulletchen will be. Just seems that the players... I didn't even notice at pause. Somehow Bulletchen had a black screen, but he must have just fixed that by Alt-Tab or something. I can't believe this thing is alive. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but just go over there and destroy that, kill that archer. Imperial Age time is going to be about 1:10 difference, with Bulletchen being slower. Now we see a big engagement with Bullet patrolling in. Jamjack reacts quickly to organise his fleet. With the fire ships going down, I think fleet numbers would potentially have been would have been kind of even, but the few reinforcements arrived from just off screen from Jamjack's docks, and Bullet not able to take that. Keeping quite a number of galleys active over here, attacking this TC, but that's not going to go down anytime soon, being a Persian TC, and the monk is still there, with the optimism that he might get a conversion. But Bulletchen's prepared quite a bit of siege and quite a lot of stable units here to push out and try and clean up this landing. Mangonel pops out for Jamjack. Let's see if he manages to get a couple of good shots on anything. Might destroy a round, but that Mangonel should be dealt with. I'm just going to check, because whilst I was looking over here, I didn't spot if that monk survived to dive into the TC. Yes, it did, but the whole landing in general is looking in a lot of danger now, with Bullet having the presence here to clean all of that up. On water though, Jamjack has now got onto a menacing fleet size and got all those upgrades in, with Bulletchen being slightly later to those of his later Imperial time, and now it looks like Bullet will have a bit of difficulty matching his opponent's galley numbers, given that his opponent, well, although the two fleets aren't engaging right now, his opponent is getting that technological advantage a little bit earlier, but is also backed up by a much larger economy. And Jamjack actually going to get a castle down in this area to help retain a hold on the island. So his landing, although it looked for a moment like it may have got completely cleaned up, like he's going to be able to start refortifying all of that. He's even going to take those relics away to stop Bulletchen from getting them, and what this is doing as well, it's kind of denying Bulletchen space to work with on his island as well. It's looking a little bit cramped and messy over here. Bulletchen potentially considering an engagement there, but Jamjack had his galleys stacked up in one place pretty nicely, and it was difficult to cope with that base of fire that he had, and he's going to get out of there. He's also waiting for chemistry potentially by the looks of it, although Jamjack once again with careening. We saw him get a pretty a much earlier careening than Bulletchen in the previous game, and that may have been one of the factors that turned that big fight in the channel between the two players. Bulletchen with a 44-minute bow saw. Oh my god, he did this in the last game. I think this is even later than the last game actually. I think it was 30-something minutes previously. You can see, I think the landing would have been something that disrupted him, because that landing happened right at the start of his castle age, and may have kind of interrupted his routine of like, oh, I've aged up, therefore I get the wood upgrade kind of thing. War elephants, yes, we love to see this. Second castle being built and war elephants being produced by Jamjack. His economy is huge at this point, so seems he's having a bit of fun. Those camels can't stray much closer to the castles, or they're going to go down really quickly. One of them being converted, and Jamjack has garrisoned those two relics inside his forward monastery. On the water, it's hard to tell if the numbers are roughly even now, because we've seen some land-based military units kicking in, but this fight looks like Bullet has a tiny bit more, and he's got a much better patrol, possibly with a few of Jamjack's kind of just, well, not really getting involved in the fight behind there. We're seeing Conscription kick in, along with the Elite War Elephant and Bloodlions. Bullet is pushing out frantically to get a hold of this stone whilst he has the chance, but once Jamjack begins to push, that will be taken away from him. He does have this stone here, but obviously Jamjack's ships were occupying this area for such a long time too. Let's take a look at Bullet's resources. I haven't switched to his point of view for quite a while. We're now seeing like how much the economy difference between the two players is hurting. Bullet is almost out of food. He was housed for a little bit, fair amount of time there as well. Like wood and gold, not quite empty just yet, but that economy is hurting. Certainly, it's not giving him much flexibility to really mass up either a ton on water or a ton on the land to clean up this landing. Whereas Jamjack's quite happy. He's so rich right now. He's banking everything, getting Elite War Elephant. Pretty indicative of the fact that he's sitting pretty right now. I can't wait for this Elite War Elephant push to begin, although he's stopped producing them just now, even though he could produce them. Okay, no, we've resumed production. I'm glad to see. I was going to say, even though he could produce them for days. Husbandry, cooking and iron casting. He's getting all those upgrades before he chooses to release the Krakens. Even a third castle as well. Maybe he wants to produce an absolute ton and just flood the war elephants before he commences. No, I didn't, Milmano, unless it was a slip of the tongue. So those relics have finally been injected from that monastery by Bulletchen, but not really going to be something that has a big impact on the game. Jamjack's still getting every upgrade he can think of relating to his war elephants, and indeed his building HP. He's got masonry and architecture at this point, even fast fire ship coming out. Bulletchen retains a much larger navy on the water and tried to get a castle in a nice place to try and provide some support fire from that end, but this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The elephants are released, and Bulletchen, what's he going to do about this? You have a single monastery and a single monk, but he's laughing at this. He clearly didn't see it coming, despite the garrison flags that were on top of the castles, which he must have seen from time to time. I'm going to switch to his point of view. Yeah, he's creating monks to try and start converting this and just to hang in there, but just the one monastery at this. Okay, no, he's got all these other monasteries down here, which he's yet to really begin monk production from. He'll try and get some monks out and to save himself, because at the end of the day, he still does have an advantage on water if he can hold on, but that's a lot of elite war elephants, and Jamjack has both the number of castles and the economy to continue spamming those, and Bullet's going to need quite a number of monks to turn this around. Whether he's able to get those before half of his economy has been truly stomped on, we'll have to see. The chat is not showing Bulletchen any mercy whatsoever here. Oh my god. See a bullet, they say. Villager difference between the two players is 50 now and 30 idols as well. Bullet's got just no economy, even if he manages to convert enough war elephants to beat this back. And Jamjack is just coming forward with more castles, adding trebs, even getting down these two castles that Bullet has placed. Ending up, although that would be a nice strategic castle to build should there still be a pitched water battle going on between the two players' islands. It's just going to turn out to be something that is destroyed straight away without really managing to provide any kind of supporting fire in a water battle whatsoever. And Jamjack is thoroughly laying waste to Bulletchen's town at this point. Those war elephants wasting absolutely no time in just raising everything. And I don't know what Bulletchen's plan is right now. I think he's probably just giving his opponent his fun here. It's not often you you get to go full Elite War Elephants in the late game in a 1v1 Islands match. So, you know, let your opponent indulge them in that for a bit before calling it. But he's still picking up a market and stuff, so maybe he thinks he's got something up his sleeve. I mean, like I say, he does still have the water, but he has 15 villagers and 55 population. Might be time to start hiding galleys in the corner. Transport, go, go, go. Yeah. Let's just transport to here and rebuild. Jamjack will never notice. He didn't finish extending his radar houses all the way to the coastline. Just listening to that graceful swishing of the elephant's tusks, just demolishing Bulletchen now. What is he actually doing? Let's go in his view lock. Bullet, why are you microing ships? You're dead. No, no, don't go to that island. Oh my god. This is like, you know, I swear Bulletchen has been playing too much Jurassic Park lately. Because you play the Jurassic Park custom scenario and you get killed by T-Rexes that have the unit graphic and make the sounds of elephants. And what happens is, if you get found, you basically die. But you can kind of run away and you can rebuild pretty, like, out of sight of the elephants, out of sight of the T-Rexes. And right now I think Bulletchen just doesn't know what game mode he's playing. So much troll. GG, well played. Doesn't prolong it any further. Good luck in the next round to PL Jamjack. And interesting conclusion to these games here. In the end, Jamjack was even poised to retake the water with a gigantic fleet of fast fire ships. So fun games. And Jamjack is through to the next round to face... I don't know who. I wonder if I can check the brackets really, really quickly to tell you. Let me update the scoreboard as well for anyone arriving late and wanting to know what the score was. Let's look at the brackets. Oh man, this is a big bracket. Okay, Bulletchen will face the winner of Monos, aka Unexpected. Wow, Paul McKell's literally updated the bracket in front of my eye. What an admin this guy is. Yeah, Bulletchen will face the winner of Monos and N4P4, who I don't know who that is, but he's quite a lower seeded player. And Monos is a kind of 2k player, so in all likelihood Jamjack will face Monos in the next round, unless N4P4 manages to spring an upset. People still love Bulletchen even after he gets demolished. Yeah, is Jamjack now playing his DM games? Possibly. I will ask Interdimension about that. But I'm not going to be able to cast those. I need to go offline now. I've got some work to finish off and need to go and see my family for a bit as well. But I'll wait to see if Interdimension... Okay, Interdimension's saying he's going to play his DM games. Let's see if Jamjack is up for it. I'll let you know if you want to watch those games, then you can... Yeah, Jamjack's up for it as well. They're going to play DM. After a few minutes break, of course. So if you want to spec those games, then come to the tournament lobby on Voobly. I don't know if anyone will stream them. Maybe I'll just look to host somebody. Tato's streaming. But yeah, that's it from me. We've got another Master of Islands game on Saturday that I'm going to be casting. I don't know if there might be some others that somebody else casts in between, but the next one I'm going to do is on Saturday at 14 GMT between Bustos, the Japanese player, and Darkly Wires, the Swedish player who was present in the chat spectating these games, watching these games on Twitch tonight. Alright, catch you on Saturday, guys. Cheers for tuning in and have fun watching the DM games if you choose to do so. Tournament lobby on Voobly if you want to.